Recently at Boston Logan International Airport, a JetBlue airplane skidded off the side of the runway onto the grass. It's a real head scratcher. What happened? Let's take a look and I'll show you.
312, ready to speed to 170, can you might contact Boston Tower 12818.
130 morning, 20 days at 5012.
Okay, the main player here is JetBlue 312. They're coming in to runway 33 left at Logan International Airport. That's the long runway. I've landed on that runway 50 times over the years. I was based in Boston for a dozen years, and it's the usual runway that everybody's going into. They're set up for it. Beautiful blue sky. A little bit of a gusty wind that day, but I don't think the wind or the weather had anything to do with what happened. We're going to find out in just a second why they went off the runway.
312, that was 2 left.
Ship 312, Botstar 737, short final, traffic will hold on 27, runway 33 left, middle air.
32 left, Orlando, 212.
You can see all the airplanes coming in, one lined up after another as they come in. This particular flight was coming from O'Hare to Boston. It's about an hour and 45-minute flight. And it was disabled for quite some time after this happened.
1281, runway 27, line of point, traffic landing on 33 left.
That's the JetBlue.
Starboard yard 4715, left 32 left.
JetBlue 312, for 1802, go around, fire my heading.
Okay, now she starts to send people around that are lined up for 33 left. Why is that? Because she can see out the tower window that JetBlue has now skidded off of the runway into the grass. All right, and that'll get your attention for sure. But why in the world would they just go off onto the grass? Was it weather? Was it something wrong? Did they blow a tire on landing? No, it wasn't that. I'll show you in a minute.
Go around, right heading, straight 1832.
All right, that's one go around.
Cancel approach plans, try one heading, climb maintain 3000.
Two go arounds.
I fire heading up to 3000, Delta 10, 71.
JetBlue 312, yeah, so we had no steering, going up the runway here, stand by further.
Okay, so there's a picture of them just off onto the grass, and he explains, the captain chimes in and says, we have no steering. So is that a possibility? What happened here to their steering? So every airplane has what's called a tiller, and for me it's over on the left hand side as the captain. Some airplanes have it on both sides so that the first officer could steer the airplane as well. It moves the nose tire, the front tire of the airplane, to the left or the right depending on which way I want to go, a certain amount, and I can actually steer like I would be steering a large tricycle on the ground. Is it possible that they could get locked up and not work? Yeah, anything mechanical can break, and there's a number of different ways. The linkage could actually break. Maybe for some reason the tire just got stuck somehow in that forward position, and no matter how much input you had, it just was going to go straight. That looks kind of like what happened here. Apparently, they're trying to make that kind of hard left turn to the taxiway. They had slowed down enough that they just, when they started to make that turn, they couldn't get the nose to go, and the airplane just kind of gently skids into the grass ahead. If there's going to be an incident where you go off the runway, this is the gentlest of all possibilities. Let's follow up and see what happens after this.
No problem. We're calling Matchport for you.
Richard 4715, left 32 left.
Okay, I've worked with Massport many times over the years, and so she said, we're calling Massport. That's Massachusetts Port Authority. That's who actually owns Logan Airport. They're going to send all the fire trucks out. They're going to send all the assistants out. They're going to send everybody's brother-in-law out. You're going to see here in a minute. It's quite a gaggle around this airplane, and that explains why they have to, A, shut down the runway, and eventually they're going to shut down the whole airport, and I'll explain why in a minute.
Breaker 4715, fly around my heading, cancel approach clearance, climb maintain 3000.
We appear to have a vehicle that has exited runway 33 left side stall. I'm sorry, an aircraft. A JetBlue arrival, so there's going to be no arrivals for quite some time.
Frontier Flight 3058, maintain 210 knots. We just had an aircraft go off the runway, maintain 6,000.
Okay, they're off into the grass now, and you can see that the beginnings of the crew is starting. There's a fire truck over there. There's a couple of smaller vehicles. A bunch more are going to show up. Basically, everybody that works for Massport is going to come out to inspect this airplane. But as you can see, they're just kind of off into the grass. Nothing's broken. They're not sunk in too far. You know, you think, well, couldn't they just kind of, push the engines up and kind of taxi right out of it? No. You don't want to do that. I'm trained, everybody's trained. If you go off the runway, you don't try to get back on to the runway. You just stop with what you've got because you're going to make matters worse. And that's exactly what they did. They just kind of came to a full stop. I'm sure that they're recalibrating now how they're thinking up in the cockpit, because they were about to turn and go to the gate and set the parking brake and everybody get off and either go home or go to their next flight. At this point now, they've got a mishap on their hands. It's not a big one, but it's a little one. And they're in the grass. Now they've got to stop. They've got to communicate with the passengers in the back. If you're a passenger in the back and you're looking and you're off on the grass, you're thinking, this isn't normal, right? So you want some communication from the cockpit, and certainly the captain's making a PA at this point, but they're also communicating with the flight attendants about what's intended. Are we going to stay on the airplane? Are we going to get off the airplane? All those things have to get attended to while you're keying up the microphone and talking to the air traffic controller and the fire trucks that are showing up. So there's a lot going on with something that happens just that quickly.
All right, 210 knots, maintain 6,000 for here, 3058.
Gable 1281, continue holding in position. I'll just see you a minute.
We'll continue holding, Jeffrey 1281.
Deputy 626, fly present heading, maintain 12,000, expect to wait vectors. There was just an aircraft that appeared to go off the runway.
12,000, flight vectors, Brickyard.
Clear wings 1802, 3000, heading 290.
Clear wings 1802, bounce departure, radar contact. Just for now, heading 200, and I'll have further information for you shortly.
290, clear wings 1802.
So remember, at an airport, they've got traffic on the ground, they got traffic coming in, they got traffic departing. They got to get everybody going in the right direction. This stuff doesn't stop. But now, as they're kind of closing down at least the runway, next they're going to close down the airport. All of that has to be coordinated with everybody that's on the ground and everybody that's coming in. So that means that the air traffic controller up in the tower is talking to approach control, who's now vectoring people into holding or to another airport or telling them how long it's going to be. Do I have enough fuel? Man, there's a lot of considerations that go in with something just as simple as this. It's going to begin to snowball here.
2648. I'm just going to keep you in a box pattern here until we get a runway back. Turn right heading 240.
Yeah, I'm just going to vector you around.
Wait, aircraft apparently going off the runway into the grass.
Shooting on HF 564.
We had an aircraft land that is not able to clear the runway, so I'm just going to hold you there for now. I'm not sure if we're going to depart runway 27 or 33 left, so expect maybe a 10 to 10 to 30 minutes away maybe.
Sharp, what's your time?
425.
You're going to report that you have a aircraft that can't clear the runway?
425, you went off the runway at taxiway golf, a beam golf off 33 left.
Brickhead 4715, 3000, runway heading. Brickhead 4715, Boston, departure radar contact, maintain 3000, then I'll have further information for you shortly. Roger 3000, Brickhead 4715. Deputy 626, we're not ready, reduce speed to 210, and it's going to be a couple minutes, the tower's going to get back to us and see where we're going to go for a runway, so it's going to be delayed vector so I can figure it out.
210 and delayed vectors, Brickyard.
So you go, why did they have to shut down that whole runway just for an airplane that's off on the grass? Well, because of all the emergency vehicles that have to get access to it. The next is, why do they shut down the whole airport? Well, they have to have emergency vehicles available in case there's another accident on the airport. If the airport's going to continue to operate using another runway, potentially somebody else there could go off the runway or have an emergency where they come in. They have to have fire trucks freed up to respond to that. If everybody is responding to this one, they have to shut down the whole airport. So that's why this whole thing kind of snowballs, and it takes time to get everybody off the airplane and onto the buses and off again, and then they have to figure out what they're going to do. Lots of communication has to go on. It continues to unravel here.
We had one of your companies landed and is not able to exit the runway, so I'm not sure what our landing and departing status is going to be for the next few minutes. So you can hold there, you can shut down if you need to. It's probably going to be at least 10 minutes precisely.
Logan Command, you can just go directly runway 33 left and golf. Everyone else is stopped.
JetBlue 312, I know you're busy. If you're with me, if you want to change to 134.05, the emergency vehicles are on there. All emergency vehicles change to 134.05.
So they're trying to clear up the frequency.
Emergency services are available on this frequency. There's a truck responding to you that they'll be by the aircraft. Is there anything you need specifically?
Shut down the engine. We don't have failure, but I just have hearing.
Okay, so you finally hear from JetBlue 312 that's off into the grass, and they say, we shut down the engines, we have no nose wheel steering. So that's what caused them to just kind of keep going straight. They couldn't turn, and they just kind of wandered off in the grass. Captain probably hit the brakes. They came to a full stop at some point. How do you steer an airplane other than using the tiller? Like, let's say the tiller doesn't work. Could they have steered the airplane a different way? Well, you can use asymmetrical braking. So I've got two brake pedals, and I can do the right brake and I can do the left brake, and I can sometimes turn my airplane left or right with that. Depends on how fast I'm going. If I'm going too fast, it makes it kind of difficult to use. And it may be that that nose wheel was just stuck in the straight position. And if I hit those brakes, it's not going to make any difference anyway. So I'm assuming that they tried some asymmetrical braking. That didn't work. They tried the tiller. It was stuck. And at some point, off you go into the grass. Now they got to go through the checklist where they shut down both of the engines. They got to communicate with everybody. This got resolved eventually. I think it was about 3 hours later, they eventually towed the airplane through the grass, off and back to the hangar. They did the repairs on the airplane, and it was back into service, I think, the next day. But you can see how a little event like this is not a big major event. It snowballs rather quickly because you got to shut down the main runway. You got to send everybody around. You got to tell everybody on the ground to stop where you are. Then eventually you shut down the whole airport because you don't have enough crash and fire trucks to respond to any other potential other accidents. And the whole thing just gets out of control until finally they get this thing resolved, get all the passengers off, and then they can systematically begin to open up the airport when they can free up a fire truck to be on duty for the other runway that they're going to open up. And eventually everything begins to start to click, and then they tow them off, and the whole airport is open up again. And as they say over in the UK, Bob's your uncle. All right, and now you know what happened last month at Logan International Airport with JetBlue when they went off the runway into the grass. Now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe.